Good morning. I know it's early, and this is probably the earliest start time that we have done, but I'm Senator Dennis, Chair of the Legislative Committee on Education. We appreciate you being here this morning. I know there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of passion when it comes to education here in Nevada, and we appreciate those of you that are here with us today. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. For the record, my name is Becky West. I am a stay-at-home mother of 4 kids. Since the passing of AB 165, in July of 2015, 2 of my 4 children have been able to benefit from the scholarships. My older 2 children graduated high school before the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program, aka the Opportunity Scholarship, was passed. Without this scholarship, sending them to the school that we want them to attend would be next to impossible. We want our children's education to reflect our moral values. It's something we've strived for from the very beginning of our marriage, and we know these schools are better for them. These schools we chose not only educate our children's minds, but also their souls. We firmly believe these schools have allowed them to grow in ways larger schools would not have. The administrators and staff at these schools have become more like family than merely educators in the lives of our children. We are in the process of applying again this year for the scholarship via the AAA Scholarship Foundation for our younger 2 boys. Matthew is a senior at Sierra Lutheran, and Stephen is a sophomore at Sierra Lutheran High School, both here in Carson City. The smaller class sizes and overall school sizes have enabled our children to play sports and be involved in academic and extracurricular programs they might not have had the chance to in the larger school environment. It has enabled them to really get to know each and every one of their teachers in a way I doubt is possible in a larger setting. Our children have received one-on-one attention when needed and been given opportunity to be challenged as well. Our family is forever grateful for the passage of AB 165. I pray that what you hear today will encourage you to
20
that
seconds.
This was a great decision and support it for many years to come. Please continue to support this program so that my children and other children can continue to use this program for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, we'll come back to Las Vegas.
Hello.
Good morning, members of the education community. My name is Alicia Manzano. I am mother of 4 children. 3 of them are. My name is Alicia Manzano. I am mother of 4 children. 3 of them are good at school age. I am here to thank you for approving another $20 million for the Opportunity Scholarship. Thanks to this, my family received 3 scholarships. And now my children can go to Mountain View Christian School. That is a safer school than the one that they are zoned for. The school they went to before had very low level of academic performance. There was a lot of violence and the students were exposed to alcohol and drugs daily. Today I feel calmer knowing that my children are in a much safer environment and where they are academically challenged to perform at their best. I am quickly witnessing how their academic level is improving and how their self-esteem is also improving. I would like more children to have the same opportunity that my kids have today. Again, thank you very much for the support to the Opportunity Scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. He's my translate. I'm sorry.
Está bien.
Buenos días, miembros del Comité de Educación.
Good morning, members of the Education Committee.
Estoy aquí hoy para expresar mi gratitud como madre de un estudiante que está recibiendo la beca de oportunidad.
I'm here today to express my gratitude as a mother of a student who is receiving the Opportunity Scholarship.
Definitivamente para mi hijo ha sido maravilloso. Tan solo observarlo cada día salir de su clase me demuestra con tanta seguridad y felicidad que gracias a esta beca él tendrá una excelente base académica.
For my son, it has been wonderful just watching him go to his school each day gives me such a security and happiness.
Pues antes de ser becado no le estaba yendo muy bien en la escuela. Su expresión en su rostro al salir de su anterior escuela pública me mostraba que él no era feliz ahí.
Before receiving the scholarship, he was not doing well in school. The expressions in his face showed me that he was not happy at his public school.
Fue por eso mismo que yo comencé a buscar otras alternativas para él.
That is why I started looking for other alternatives for him.
Actualmente, en solo 3 meses de estar utilizando la beca de la oportunidad, él fue reconocido como el alumno más esforzado de su clase.
In only 3 months of using the Opportunity Scholarship of his current school, he was recognized as one of the most hardworking students of his class.
Y me he dado cuenta que ya es conocido en tan poquito tiempo por la mayoría del personal como un niño dedicado y con enormes sueños, y mi felicidad es infinita cuando ellos me hablan de lo bien que a él le va.
For that reason, he is already known in such short time by almost all the personnel in the school as a dedicated child with huge dreams.
Debido al aumento adicional de 20 millones que se le dio a
20
este
seconds.
programa, mi hijo tiene una beca este año.
Because of the additional $20 million increase in the program, my son has a scholarship this year.
Por favor, haga que este aumento sea permanente o tal vez no tendremos esta beca el próximo año. Les ruego que apoyen esta beca desde el fondo de mi corazón. Muchas gracias.
Please make please make that permanent, or we may not have this scholarship next year. I beg you to support this scholarship from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Gracias. Y señor, ¿tu nombre cómo es?
María
María, apellido.
Zamora.
Zamora.
Sí,
María Zamora. Gracias.
gracias.
Go ahead. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, my name is Denise Lasher, and I'm here with the American Federation for Children. And I want to assure you, I'm not going to make any threats against you if you disagree with my opinions or the opinions voiced by the parents today, like some of my opponents have. And I'm not going to espouse any misinformation about the organizations that came before me, talking about the organization that I work for. I'm here to thank you instead for supporting the additional $20 million for the Opportunity Scholarship Program, so these families that came before you here today can have the option of choosing a school for their child if they don't live in the right zip code in this city, in this county. I did want to correct some misinformation. We are a C3 and C4. We're funded by many different foundations and individuals. Some of them actually are registered Democrat and give to progressive causes. On our board, we have prominent Democrats, former State Senator Ann Duplessis from Louisiana, Senator Joe Lieberman serves on our board, and U.S. Senator Cory Booker has spoken in support of these type of programs at a number of our annual summits. So we are not a Republican-oriented entity. I'm not sure if you saw the Nevada Independent poll that they did, and one of the questions they asked the voters was, do you support increasing the cap above the current $26.6 million? 59% of the voters said yes, they supported increasing it. Of that, of the Hispanics that answered the poll, 73% supported that, and 66% of the millennials that they polled said they supported increasing that cap.
20 seconds.
Thank you. There's high demand from minority families. For instance, of the program, 12% are African American, and if you look at how many African Americans are in a public school, it's only 5%. So they're serving a wide range of minority families that want this option. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to share these thoughts.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Rabbi Mendel Levine. I represent Yeshiva Day School of Las Vegas. I'm the executive director. We are located in Henderson in Senator Woodhouse's district. First of all, I'd like to thank this committee and all the men and women of the state of Nevada for working so tirelessly to move our state forward. This has been dubbed the Opportunity Scholarship, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. And that's exactly what it has done. It has provided opportunities to students across the state. I would like to quickly debunk a few myths about opportunity scholarships and private schools. Our school has 60% of its students that qualify and receive opportunity scholarship. 20% of our students are immigrants from all across the world. 40% of our students travel 20 miles or more each way to and from school. That should tell you that the parents in this state are looking for other options. The last point I would like to make is something that surprised us as well. In the past 4 years of this program, our school has doubled in size. We have found people moving from across the country to join our communities and join our school. The biggest drive to the growth of the economy in the state of Nevada will be the funding of public education and helping with private education. People move to places, bring jobs, tax dollars, etc., to places that have superior education and that, as we have found from our experience in the growth of our school and our communities. I'd like to thank you and hope that you continue to support and make permanent all of the great education funding in this state. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Karen Zay. I'm the tuition accounts manager at Calvary Chapel Christian School. We are a kindergarten through 12th grade school with nearly 500 students, and of which 171 were scholarship award recipients. We are a very diverse school, and we are very thankful for the AB 165. We give back to the Las Vegas community. We have a missions week every year, and we've served at places like the Project 150, Veterans Village, Women's Outreach Clinic, and others. Our Honor Society students volunteered at local public Title I schools tutoring students. Because of the AB 165 Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program, students who could not attend our tuition and fees are able to attend. The parents of these students are so grateful that they are able to have that option to place their children in a private school. They await anxiously over the summer to see if they're going to be able to return to the school where their children have made a home and good friends. Academically, we address the students' needs with small classroom settings. Athletics, we have 5th through 12th grade, and we allow everyone to play. Performing in visual arts, we have art, choir, drumline, theater. Children are instructed by gifted teachers who nurture their talents. Technology is used on a daily basis, and we do have weekly chapel services. All these things are values that are so important to families. Our hope for the future is that
20 seconds.
Our prayer is that the AB 165 remains in existence and that the $20 million cap remains in effect for the 2018-19 school year and beyond, thereby making it possible for scholarship families to continue to attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Araceli. I am a mother of 3. I'm a single parent. I was blessed this year with a scholarship for all 3 of my boys to attend a private school. We are very thankful for it. I've seen an increase and a change, in their grades. Academically, they're doing awesome. So I really hope this summer we get approved for a scholarship once again for all 3 of them. It's really hard for me, as a single parent with 3 children, having to work and, do everything. And it's also very convenient that I was able to choose a school right next to my job. So if there's an emergency, the kids are not feeling good, I'm down the street. All the staff, the teachers are amazing. The classes are smaller, so they get more individual help when they work with their needs. And I'm just looking forward for this year to hopefully get approved once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Morning. My name is Rachel Ramstetter. I'm an administrator at Desert Torah Academy, a Jewish private day school here in Las Vegas. I just want to say that I am in support of the scholarships. We've had quite a few families come to us because of the scholarships, doing well, doing very good on the Terra Nova testing, and I would hope that it would continue. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Raymond LeBeff. I'm the superintendent of Mountain View Christian Schools located on the east side in Las Vegas. We sit on 20 acres, and we see ourselves strategically placed to help our community alleviate some of the problems that are in the community, especially in regards to poverty. Our school is located less than 4 miles away from all of the schools that are 100% of the poverty level. We have found, working in conjunction with CCSD, working with the charter schools in our area, that we have been able to implement programs in our school that has helped the community. Our school overall has seen a significant increase in enrollment of students due to the Opportunity Scholarship. Getting those students to a place of achieving at a high level of literacy and math, we've realized has taken time and attention. Pulling them aside, having extra tutoring hours, extra time with them, we have been able to see them develop a hope in education, a desire to achieve, a desire to move further along. Our school overall has provided excellence in education and has done so for the 23 years that I've been at the school. Our elementary principal, Debbie Sarver, is here, and she can talk about how we've implemented the Catapult program that is directly associated with Title I. Title I's mission from its very beginning was to provide an opportunity for achieving and closing the gap between poor and affluent students. At Mountain View Christian Schools, we're committed to doing that and to continuing to work in partnership with the schools in our area.
20
So we
seconds.
see it as an opportunity to alleviate the problems in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I think that it's really interesting, a lot of the testimony that has been kind of anti-school choice. And as a representative, parent and parents all over Nevada, we value choice, and you have heard from several families that has benefited them. I'm also a mom of 5 kids, 4 who are in the school district. And just on a personal note, we are dealing with this right now. I'm not willing, I think we need to fund public education, but I'm not willing to let my child be the sacrificial lamb in which we test this out on. He will be sitting in a 45 to 50 student middle school classroom next year if we go to the public school that we're zoned for. And I know my son, and he will get lost in that environment. And so we are applying for opportunity scholarships as well, and we are looking for charter school opportunities as well. So I think it's really important to note that one of our most fundamental values in this country is choice in every other area. And education is one of the most valuable assets that we have. And so when it comes to educational choice, I think that it's what parents want. We want that the scholarships to continue to be funded, and we 20 want seconds. ESAs to be funded as well. I think it's really important for parental rights in Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And I am the elementary principal at Mountain View Christian School, located at 3900 East Bonanza. And we do serve a very diverse population. Our population is almost divided equally among African American, white, Hispanic, and Asian students. We have an opportunity to have very dedicated teachers that have committed themselves to students that come in that are struggling academically. We have many students that come from families that they are the first generation to learn English. And our teachers dedicate themselves to a minimum of 2 hours a week of free tutoring to families. Many of them give 4 hours a week of tutoring to students that have resulted in test scores that averaged at a pre-test level through Catapult of 57%, and our final post-test level was 89%. And that's a 32% increase in student achievement. And to break the cycle of poverty, it's no longer enough to just have a high school diploma, a resume, and a reference to support a family. Our students have to leave a school ready to enter into secondary college education or a trade school, and we commit ourselves to doing that. We provide a choice to parents, and the modified business tax helps our parents to do that. We ask that you support this. We educate an elementary student for about $6,700 because of the dedication of our teachers willing to work for a lower rate than what we could make going to a
20
public
seconds.
school.
With is it that Chris Nelson? Go ahead.
Hi, Chairman Dennis. Not Chris Nelson, Brett Barley, Deputy Superintendent, Nevada Department of Education. Good to see
And
you
Brett,
this
one
morning.
thing before I forget, before we start, just real quick, when this is done, we'll take lunch, and then just so you know, and if everybody here, thanks. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are planning the department's part of this presentation to be done in about 10 minutes, so we'll move relatively expeditiously through the presentation to allow time for the 2 other entities and organizations that are on the agenda. I'm joined today by Melissa Schroeder down in Las Vegas. She is the Nevada Department of Education lead for this program, a relatively new hire for the department, and has really hit the ground running. So kudos to Melissa. She's actually the architect behind the document in front of you today, the report on the program. Before I hand it off to Ms. Schroeder, just a reminder that this program originated out of the 2015 legislative session. It is for families at or below 300% of the federal poverty level, and it's really intended to serve 4 purposes. First, to pay for private school tuition for eligible families. Second, to pay for distance education programs. Third, to pay for dual credit programs. And fourth, to cover transportation costs for schools, public schools not offering transportation costs. So really 4 potential uses for the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program. I think the first one that I articulated around private school tuition is the most commonly used and probably what people are most familiar with this program from, but wanted to make sure that you knew that there were 3 other purposes as well that families can take advantage of. So I'll stop there and introduce Melissa, and she can walk you through the rest of her report. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Barley. Good morning, Chair Dennis and members of the interim committee. I am Melissa Schrader with the Department of Education, and I'm going to give you a brief update of the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program. So I submitted a report that you should all have in front of you, and so I'm going to be referencing that report over the next couple of minutes. First, I would like to point out that last legislative session, as we've heard today, an additional $20 million in tax credits was approved, making the total tax credit cap for this past year over $26 million. And as of May 7th, the Nevada Department of Taxation reported that Nevada businesses have asked to make donations of $20,720,335. So we're very close to meeting that tax credit cap. During the 2017-18 school year, there were 3 active scholarship organizations, and of those 3, we had AAA Scholarship Foundation, Dinosaurs and Roses, and Education Fund of Northern Nevada. Our maximum scholarship amount for this past school year was $7,934, and our maximum amount for the upcoming 2018-19 school year is $8,132. And that is based off of the Consumer Price Index increases. A total of 87 private schools registered to participate in the scholarship program in 2017, and we have a total of 88 for the upcoming school year. And our 3 active scholarship organizations awarded almost $11 million as of January 31st of this year, amounting to a total of 2,330 scholarships. The Department of Education collects participating student data from both the scholarship organizations and private schools in which these students are enrolled. And that's where this data on this report comes from, is both scholarship organization reports as well as reports from the private schools. Page 3 of the report includes a summary of important demographic data that aids in demonstrating the impact of the scholarship program. So the first important piece of data that I want to talk about is our race and ethnicity data for the scholarship program. So if you turn to page 3 in your report, you'll see the very top table there. It shows a breakdown of the race and ethnicity data for our scholarship recipients based on scholarship organizations. So you can see how many students within each group have been awarded scholarships through each scholarship organization. Now, students who received scholarships from multiple scholarship organizations amount to 247. So this 2,330 number is representative of students who have also received multiple scholarships. So the true number of students, individual students, who actually received scholarships this past year is 2,083. So we had 2,083 individual students awarded scholarships. The middle chart on page 3 breaks down the ethnicity and race of the total individual awards, so that 2,083 number, and compares the numbers of scholarship recipients' ethnicity and race data to those of public school students in Nevada for the same school year. So you'll see, for the most part, the data balances. In the area of Hispanics, you'll notice a difference larger than the others. And we at the department believe that there's 2 reasons for the lower number of reported Hispanic participants in the scholarship. And the first one is that we actually have 221 students who did not have their ethnicity and race reported in the scholarship process. And so we didn't have the data on those students, and a significant amount of those students may very well make up the disparity between the public school and private school numbers. Another barrier that might exist and that I've discussed with some of our private schools is the language barrier. with a lot of our Hispanic families, they were having issues with completing applications and understanding the scholarship program. And so a lot of our private schools and scholarship organizations have come together to provide resources to help those families in applying for scholarships and disseminating information in both English and Spanish to help families fill out applications. And so we expect that number to increase for the next school year. So the next table, so we talked about the table with the 2,083 scholarship recipients. So if we look at the bottom of that same page on page 3, there are 2 more tables of information that are really important to understand. First, on the left-hand side is the average household income per student by scholarship organization, and you'll see that it's relatively similar. About $45,000 is the average income of families who are awarded scholarships for their students. And an important thing to note is, as Deputy Barley had mentioned earlier, that one of the requirements of the scholarship program is that parents or household incomes are within 300% of the federal poverty data, or the federal poverty guidelines. And so if we take a look at the federal poverty guidelines, which are on page, the very first page, page 1 is the breakdown of the guidelines for 2017, you'll see that that $45,000 mark is within 150 to 200,000 or 200% of that, of those poverty guidelines for a family of 4 making $45,000. So most of our families are falling into that category. And then the table on the right-hand side.
Your conference is ending now. Please hang up.
The table on the right-hand side of page 3 demonstrates the average scholarship amount per scholarship organization that is awarded to students. And so you'll see AAA is $6,644. We have Dinosaurs and Roses at $4,218, and then Education Fund of Northern Nevada at $3,805. And as I said before, our maximum scholarship amount for this past year was over $7,000, almost $8,000. So we've had a significant impact on the community with our scholarship program. And since its inception in 2015, the scholarship program has been really a remarkable success. It has grown exponentially. In the 2015-16 school year, 541 scholarships were awarded, with a total of over $2.2 million in scholarship monies. And in 2016-17, 1,113 scholarships were awarded, totaling nearly $5.5 million. So as we continue to move forward with the program, we've seen an increase in this past school year of the number of recipients increasing by 25% and the amount awarded to students increasing by 20%, giving those families the opportunity to send their children to the school of their choice. So that concludes my summary of the data, and I can answer any questions that you might have, and I can turn it over to Deputy Barley as well if he has any other remarks.
Are we doing on time? Did we run out? Okay, so Deputy Barley, if you have any comments, you got about 30 seconds.
Chairman Dennis Snow, Deputy Barley for the record, happy to field any questions you might have.
Great. So what we're going to do on the questions, we're going to wait till the end because we've got 3 organizations. Each one will do 10 minutes, and then at the end we'll have 15 minutes for us to ask questions. So great. So let's go to the next organization. And actually, to the members, if you would write your questions down, that's what I'm doing. And then when we get to the questions, we can ask whoever we need to ask of. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman and committee members. My name is Kim Dyson, and I'm happy to be here today representing AAA Scholarship Foundation. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program and how very grateful we are to have the opportunity to serve Nevada's economically disadvantaged and displaced students. As you will see from the information we are presenting today, this program has been extremely popular with Nevada parents as it represents an educational choice program which allows historically underrepresented families to break away from the traditional zip code-based school assignments of the past and instead provides them with the personalization that they have come to expect in every aspect of their lives. This slide is just a brief summary of the program, but since the NDE has done a great job of explaining it, I will go ahead and jump through that one. All right, so let me start by telling you a little bit about AAA. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission of empowering low-income families and families of children with disabilities by providing them with the economic assistance they need to pay for education-related expenses associated with accessing the individualized learning environments that best suit their children. We fulfill our mission by administering 8 innovative scholarship programs in 6 states. Those states are Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Pennsylvania. Our staff has been successfully administering these types of scholarship programs since 2002. AAA was approved to administer the Nevada Scholarship Program in July of 2015. Okay, as you can see from the data on this slide, and this is an update from some of the data that the NDE has just gone over, as of May 31st, we have awarded Nevada scholarships to 1,004 students for the 2017-2018 school year. 863 of those students were actively using those scholarships at 67 eligible schools. The vast majority of these students reside in Clark and Washoe counties. Oops, I'm sorry. AAA's average Nevada household is a family of 5 with an annual income of $44,323. That equates to 154% of the federal poverty level. As applicants' household incomes increase, the value of the awarded scholarships decrease. We do this to help ensure that those families with the lowest annual household incomes receive the most assistance. However, the decrease is a slope and not a cliff, so as to encourage families to work their way out of poverty without jeopardizing the continuity of their children's educational setting. AAA's Nevada scholarship values range from $7,500 to $1,875 per student, with the average scholarship being $6,654. On this slide, you can see the demographic breakdown of the students who are benefiting from AAA's Nevada Scholarship Program. They tend to be in the early grades of kindergarten through 3rd grade. As studies have shown, reading proficiency by 3rd grade is the most important predictor of high school graduation and career success. These students are fairly evenly split gender-wise and are racially diverse. Students in this generation are known as digital natives and belong to Generation Tech. They have been born into a world of ever-increasing personalization. By expanding educational options through these scholarships, Nevada has shown these students and their families that the state embraces innovation and is adapting to the new concepts of a 21st century classroom. At AAA, we support the individual efforts of our scholarship families towards upward mobility. We do that by never assuming to know more about what their families need than they do. These parents are working in the best interest of their families and are actively seeking out options and support to meet those needs. Many of them see education as the surest means to stop the cycle of generational poverty. Please keep in mind that once these families have been awarded scholarships, the parents have already proactively chosen a different educational option for their children than their own schools. They have successfully completed the scholarship application process. They have enrolled their children in eligible private schools of their choosing and understood that they have the option to exit those schools if they are not meeting their children's learning needs and to take their children and the scholarship funding with them to another school. They are not doing these actions mindlessly. Please do not be deceived by the fallacy that you must protect scholarship families from their own choices. Instead, respect scholarship families by assuming that they are the experts of their own lives. We encourage you to continue to provide educational options and support for them as they work towards the goals that they have already set for themselves and their children. Here are some ways that AAA practices that ideal. We provide parents with data on schools so that they can make informed decisions on selecting the best educational settings for their children. We provide access to licensed academic performance data on public, charter, and private schools, including ratings and reviews by parents, teachers, and students. We inform parents that their children's scholarships are portable. They have the power to decide whether the chosen schools are serving their children well. If not, they can take their scholarships to another eligible school. This is the mechanism that weeds out low-quality schools. We empower scholarship parents to demand to be treated like private pay parents by the private schools. Although they may learn about the scholarship from a school, the application process is between AAA and the parents. For us, the schools have no role in the process until the parents proactively select them after being awarded a scholarship. We believe this helps underscore to the parents that they are not beholden to schools because they understand that the scholarships are not coming from the schools. Instead, parents are going into these schools with money in hand when they have a AAA scholarship. We remind them all of these facts repeatedly during application meetings, on scholarship applications, flyers, handbooks, award letters, and school commitment forms. Many families who have not had prior experience with the private school world need to hear these things multiple times in order for the feeling of empowerment to become internalized. The even better news is that these scholarship programs have proven to be effective. A September 2000 study released by the Urban Institute found that the economically disadvantaged students who participated in a very similarly designed scholarship program in Florida enrolled into community colleges at a higher rate than their public school counterparts. The study compared the outcomes of more than 10,000 economically disadvantaged students who entered the program between 2004 and 2010 with outcomes of students with similar characteristics and test scores who never participated in the scholarship program. They found that participating in the scholarship program had substantial positive impacts on the likelihood that a student would enroll in a public college in the state. Participation in the program increased college enrollment rates by 6 percentage points, or about 15%. Almost all of this effect occurs in community colleges, which are more financially accessible to the economically disadvantaged students participating in the program, and where most students in that state begin their post-secondary education. The Urban Institute study found evidence of even larger benefits for students who participated in the program for a greater number of years, with the largest impacts up to 18 percentage points, or a 43% increase, for students who spend 4 or more years as scholarship students. This indicates that students who benefit the most from these programs are those who remain in them the longest. Overall, the research on similar scholarship programs have been decidedly positive. There are currently 18 states with tax credit scholarship programs, which are serving nearly 300,000 students. Although that is a drop in the bucket when compared to the number of students in more traditional zip code-based assigned schools, it is growing annually as economically disadvantaged families begin to demand results over ideology and to fight for access to the high-quality educational options that they expect for their children.
2 minutes.
Please be sure to read through the student spotlights that we've included as a handout. In those, you will see for yourself how Nevada's embrace of innovation and its willingness to adapt to the new concepts of personalization is providing its most vulnerable students with the diverse educational options that they deserve. With your continued support of the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program, even more of these students will stand in the spotlight to tell their stories. You will be giving them concrete proof that they matter, that they are worthy, and that you believe in their futures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go on to the next presentation.
How did I exit? There we go.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, members of the Educational Committee, for inviting me today to present of how my organization, the Nevada School Choice Coalition, is working really hard to expand educational opportunities for Nevada children. Just very briefly, a little bit about our organization. Our mission at the Nevada School Choice Coalition, it is to raise awareness of educational options for underserved families in Nevada, particularly focusing on a scholarship tax credit program or the Opportunity Scholarship. Since 2015, our organization, which is a project of the American Federation for Children, has informed over 100,000 underserved families about educational options in the state, and we have assisted this year alone over 1,500 families in applying for the Opportunity Scholarship. It is that with our help, more than 2,000 scholarships have been awarded and completed. I'm going to tell the story with photographs, as I have been recording, making sure that all our work in the ground is documented. One of the things that we realized when the Opportunity Scholarship came to life in 2015 was that there was no marketing dollars attached to the program. So we want to make sure that those who were low-income families were actually accessing to the scholarship. And our organization is very small, so we decided to, in a way to maximize our efforts and build capacity, it was to create train-the-trainer events. And here you see in 2 photographs of how we are doing this in the community. We have an event on 2015 on March at the Innovation Center where Dinosaurs and Roses came to explain the application process to how to complete the application to private schools. This way, private schools can do on their own and help with the application process when families knock at their doors. The same thing we did at the Public Ed Foundation. They allow us to use their space, so AAA could come and help with the application process so more schools understand. So far this year, we did 10 train-the-trainers in order to maximize our efforts. Also, we are very well known in the community for helping families and parents to apply. We have events all year long to help families to complete their application, and this year alone we did 8 events. Anytime that we promote this, we get over 100 families applying, and we are always at capacity. So the demand for the program, as you can see, is there. Also, another thing that we have done to promote the program is to work closely with faith leaders to reach out to more minority communities. We work closely with Hispanic and African American, about 20 Hispanic and 10 African American churches. They usually let us come during service hours and make sure that we talk about what the Opportunity Scholarship is, and we have events with them all year long as well. And as you can see in these photographs, our organization focuses really strongly to making sure that we train them as well on what the Opportunity Scholarship is so that they can explain the process to families as well. We are very mindful on trying to reach out to more communities. We have been very successful in the past to reaching out to Hispanic communities, and this year we wanted to make sure that we're also working really hard to reach out to African American communities, and we have cemented an alliance with the Urban League. They have various different programs that are all aimed for low-income families, and we are part of all of them. Anytime they invite us, we come and provide information on the Opportunity Scholarship. And they also have WIC centers, a WIC clinic, and early childhood centers, and we have put our brochure in all of these facilities. Our organization comes to any event that we're invited, anyone that will have us. We participate as much as 2 events, community events, Spring Preserve, Dia del Niño, charter school events, and with the Latin Chamber of Commerce, and we do 2 town hall meetings each year to make sure that we are answering questions for families and that they can see our face and get those answers. This year we launched what is called Parents for Choice Talks. We realized that the need for education is bigger than ourselves. And while we want to promote our Opportunity Scholarship, we also want to make sure that we are helping families to have a wide knowledge in different aspects. I realize while working with the community that families don't understand what a charter school is, they don't understand what a magnet school is, and they don't understand how to find quality schools. So we also know that private school is not always the option, and we want to make sure that families know how to find quality school. That's the ultimate goal for us. We have invited Opportunity 180 to talk at one of our events about how you find quality schools, and we also do career and readiness events. But the most important part is that these Parents for Choice Talks once a month bring us all together, the community, to talk about the Opportunity Scholarship as well as other educational sources. We also, as she mentioned, it's sometimes hard for families that only speak Spanish to find resources in Spanish. Only one SU at the moment provides an application in Spanish. So our organization launched a new website, the NevadaSchoolChoice.com, where you will find the program and everything you need to know to apply in English and Spanish. And it's a wonderful tool for families. So instead of referring them to the Department of Education, where you only find in one language, you can come here and find all the information that you need, and all in one place, and all the SGOs in one place as well. Also, part of our success in promoting the Opportunity Scholarship is that we engage twice a week at a Latino radio talk. It's called the La Voz de Nevada. And we have different ads and we do interviews to make sure that we're promoting the Opportunity Scholarship. These shows alone reach to over 15,000 per show. We created bilingual materials for all families, and this includes our emails, our brochures, our social media, text alert, our phone line. We're making sure that we're very mindful of this as well. Our organization is currently working at various capacities with different organizations. As I mentioned before, the Urban League, Teach for America, Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, Latin Chamber of Commerce, Laborers Union, Nevada Hispanic Business Group, Casa Guerrero, Women's Chamber of Commerce Nevada, Peruvian Chamber of Commerce of Las Vegas, Milagros Escondido, which is a group for parents for children with disabilities, and Power to Parent, and these are just some of them. I want to leave and finish my presentation with our recommendations, which is to make the 20 million addition permanent in the annual cap, so more students and the students that are already utilizing the Opportunity Scholarship Program can continue to do so. And we'd like to maintain the 10% annual escalator so new families and students can have access to the scholarship. And we want to provide an ongoing independent study over time, so we can learn and you can learn how students are doing. We want to make sure that we know how, if parents are satisfied, and we want to make sure that we know how the program in general is doing and what effects it's having in our community. To finish, I want to leave you with a quote from a parent that couldn't be here. And I actually didn't know that her daughter, Mia, was going to middle and high school, to Faith Lutheran Middle and High School. This is a school that is almost $12,000 for tuition. And where his interest is when I call this parent, he shared that they actually give them another scholarship for almost $4,000. So and he receives a full scholarship for from AAA, so her child can attend this school. And this is where he said, "My daughter is doing so much better since she received the Opportunity Scholarship a year ago. Not only she's getting better grades than she did before, but it's also I see personal growth in her. She's getting better grades. It's helping her to build her confidence." And this photo is from her before her show. She was elected among other children to perform, and she's very happy. And that's all I have on my end. Thank you very much for having me today.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to have some now it's question time, so I'm sure we have several questions. Let me ask one question first, if I can find my. Maybe we'll have to go. Oh, here it is. Okay, and I don't know who will answer this. It may be the Department of Ed or maybe one of the other ones. So when we talk about education, we talk about education achievement and attainment. How are we tracking these kids to get the scholarship where they're at when they start and where they're at, now? So, because I heard the comment was that they're doing better, they're better students, but that doesn't, we can't get away with that in public education, just to say, oh, we're doing better, so we don't need, we have to actually show data that shows that that individual child is doing. So how are we doing that in this program?
I believe the Department of Education is collecting the data, and I think that's one of our recommendations, that we make sure that we don't have the results of any of this. But I believe that was a question that it was included from you guys when you guys passed this law. So we need to do a study to make sure that we know all this. We have all these answers.
Okay, and put your name on the record.
Valeria Gur.
Okay, because there's three of you here, so as you answer, we want to make sure. So at Department of Ed, are you tracking any of that? I mean, how do we, because with limited dollars that we've had, this last time when we did money to help kids in the English language learner, or there were the low achievers, we put some $1,200 per student. But we had limited money, and we're tracking the ones that were the lowest achieving and trying to make them. And so I kind of view the scholarship program as also trying to help the lowest achievers. So how do we, I mean, do we have any data like that does a pre-evaluation and then it's evaluating on an ongoing basis to see if it's working?
Chair Dennis, Deputy Superintendent Barley for the record. I'm going to pause a second and see if the echo leaves. There we go. So the answer is yes. We are tracking student scale score data from each of the receiving private institutions that a student would attend. So when we have multiple years of data, we'll be able to look at that assessment data so long as the student went to the same school 2 years in a row and took the same test where we could measure year 1 to year 2. So that exists now, and we're collecting that data. That said, there are some challenges with that. So if a student were to go from one private school to a second private school, and those private schools were using different tests, then we wouldn't have a year over year of growth to measure student learning. And so it's going to look different than it will with our traditional K-12 public schools, where a kid in 3rd grade takes a Smarter Balance test, and even if he were to move from one school in Clark County School District to another school in Clark County School District, that child would still be taking the Smarter Balance test in 4th grade, and we would be able to measure growth over time. These private schools that are receiving students are selecting an assessment. Students are taking that assessment, and then it's enabled to calculate. In order to calculate that growth, they need to take the same assessment at that same school the next year for us to calculate growth. We will have, I think, our second year of data on that. We'll be able to draw some conclusions, but there will be some limitations with it.
Okay. I have other questions, but let's go to Vice Chair Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a question. Well, actually, I have a statement for our committee to consider, and I want to call it like an aha moment. If we look at the presentation from AAA scholarships, and if we look at the demographics slide, if we look at the percentage of the grade levels that get the most, where it's the most access, there's like over 60% that are in elementary school. So when we just talked about policies, we talked about we need to put more funding potentially into early childhood and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to say that hopefully that's an aha moment. I know it is for me, hope for others, and maybe that's where, because, this funding is kind of limited funding. So I just wanted us to look at that. I want to go back to the slide prior to that. And Ms. Dyson, if you could share with us, because it looks like, you said almost 75% are pretty much at that cusp of, I think you said at 154% of the poverty, below the poverty level. But yet I would like to know, with the ethnic demographics, who's at the 186% to the 300%? Do you have information on that, on what those ethnic groups and numbers and so on and so forth? That would be very important for me.
Specifically by household, is that what you're asking? The racial makeup of each household and their economic levels?
Well, just how you followed when you came up with this graph, you said that 75% of the recipients of these funds are at 185% below or higher, right, which you mentioned that it's pretty much a family of 5 with annual income of $44,000.
That's right.
And that gets them at around 154% below the poverty level.
That's right.
So my question is, see where it says 7.9% all the way down to 0.6%. Like we only have 0.6% that are in the between 251% to 300. So I just want to know if you can come back with us and share with us the ethnic groups and household-wise, of that.
Based on those categories? Certainly. I don't have
Absolutely.
that. I don't have that information.
Everything
directly,
below
I'm
right.
happy to
And then
that.
lastly, and anyone can answer this, again.
And before she goes on, that was just
Kim Dyson, AAA Scholarship Foundation.
Okay, and we know that this was, we voted on it, and you know, it's always depends on what the next session brings. So my question is, what are your organizations, if anything, doing on succession planning with these families? Because I know that's always a big concern of mine, to put a false hope out there that students may, and again, these parents, again, with choice, and I put that in quotes, they're choosing to put their students in this type of educational program. What are we doing to help them should those funds not be there? Because now that choice, so what does that choice now become? And so what are you doing to help them with that? Because I heard someone say it's almost $12,000 a year for some kids. And if we're looking at below the poverty level, it's just not going to happen, and especially if you have multiple kids in the system. So can anyone please answer that?
Valeria Gior for the record. What we have, where I mentioned that it was launched this year, what is Parents for Choice, and it's a diverse group that bring organizations from all over Nevada to come and speak in different options that they have. We have invited all the newest charter schools to come and speak. And as I mentioned before, we have also invited Opportunity 180 to help families to understand how they find quality school. We recognize that the Opportunity Scholarship is not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be for everyone. And we wanna make sure that families are armed with knowledge so that they can find the best option that there is for them. That could be a public school or a private. So we're very mindful of that as an organization. I hope that helps to answer your question.
Okay, but yes, I mean, I just want that false hope, because, you know, the parents that are choosing to put their students in this type of educational program, that's the hope that they have, that their kids don't have to go to what you've mentioned. But if the funding's not there, I'm wondering, what are your organizations doing to help them so they can sustain that?
The 20 million, it is our hope that it's going to continue to be in the cap, just because you allow this, and now families are using this scholarship. So it is our hope as an organization that stays there, so children that choose a different option can continue to do so. Because as some of the parents came to you today, they mentioned that they left where they were zoned for was because it was not the best option for their children.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And make sure you put your name on the record.
Valeria Gior for the record.
Thank you. Okay, other questions? Yeah. Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Chair. And I think that would, Assemblyman Thompson's questions would be kind of a good segue into what I was going to go into, although you also asked one of my questions already, Chair. When it comes to, I have a general question for all three organizations, and then I have a specific question for AAA. The first question is, so what is, well, let me start here. I'll start with AAA. In your information, there's a bullet point that says, understand that they have the option to exit those schools if they are not meeting their children's learning needs, and to take their children and scholarship funding with them to another school. So my first question would be, how often does that happen? Is there any parameters around that? And overall for everyone, what is the retention of the students? Because you know, is this something where parents and students are bouncing around? Does it happen throughout the year? How often does it happen? What are the parameters when a parent comes to you and says, well, we didn't like this school now we want to try this one, and that one didn't work, so now we want to try this one. Can you speak on that?
Yes, this is Kim Dyson, AAA Scholarship Foundation. The number of children who change schools during the year is a very low percentage of the number of children who participate in the program. We do, as I mentioned in my presentation, we do inform them that if the school that they've chosen for their child doesn't fit their child, because a lot of these parents, it's the first time dealing with a private school. So they may think that this school suits their child, but once the child is in there, they decide, yeah, it's really not a good fit. So the idea behind this is to empower the parents so that they know that they can take those scholarship dollars to another school to try another one. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. As far as retention, meaning year over year, do these families renew with us? Right now, our rate, this program in Nevada has been only around for 2 years, so the rate is around 70%. So what our experience has been, last year was around 70%. This year, we're seeing a higher percentage of families who were on the program during the 17-18 applying for 2018-19, because that is kind of the cycle that they're going through right now, is reapplying with us. So we're seeing even a higher percentage, closer to 85%.
Would you respond to your retention rates to the other two organizations, please? Thank you.
Melissa Schrader, NDE, for the record. I would mirror what Kim said. Based on the data, and really NDE's role in the operation of this scholarship is to kind of have general oversight. And so what I do with the scholarship program is I'm kind of a reservoir where the data comes, and I put together reports to come in and do things like this. And so folks like Kim with AAA or other scholarship organizations are on the ground actually working with parents and applications in schools. Now, I also do pay private schools visits and talk to private schools as well. And we have very many private schools, specifically here in Clark County, where most of our private school population is, that have seen students return consecutive years upon receiving a scholarship. And so I would echo what Kim said, in that we have a very high percentage of students that come back and reapply each year for the scholarship, and a very low rate based on the data that I have of students who are leaving. And oftentimes, based on the data that I have as well, the students who are leaving many times due to families moving out of state. So I again would echo what AAA is saying, and I don't know, Valeria, if you want to add anything to that.
Okay. Quick follow-up, Chair. My other question for AAA, you mentioned that the money is handled between the organization and the parent, and I appreciate that, so that those families have the dignity of, they're just paying for their tuition. So can you speak about the accountability that comes with that? If you're handing the money over to the parent, what is kind of your accountability model to ensure that it's used as intended?
Yes, ma'am. Kim Dyson, AAA Scholarship Foundation. Let me just clarify that the money doesn't actually go to the parent. Okay, so basically the scholarship is awarded to the parent. The parent applies directly with AAA Scholarship Foundation. Again, they may have heard about the program through a school. They may have driven past the school a million times and said, gee, I wish I could afford to have my child there. They see a banner outside that says scholarships available. They go in, they find out about the scholarship, but then they apply through AAA. The scholarship is awarded to the family. They're given an award letter. They take that award letter along with a form to the school that says this family has a scholarship. It's worth up to X number of dollars, and the form is filled out by the school and signed by the parent, signed by the school, saying that they're going to follow the rules. Then, once a child is enrolled and begins attending that school, a check is sent 4 times during the school year, so about approximately every 10 weeks or so. Before we send a check to the school for that child, we send a form to the school that asks several questions. Number 1, is the child still enrolled? Are they attending regularly? And have you had any trouble collecting any other funds that were owed by the family personally? Many times, as Valeria mentioned, this scholarship does not necessarily cover the entire cost of attending that school. So we want to make sure that the communication between the school and the family is an ongoing process. If they have any trouble, they let us know. We reach out to the parent, make sure they have some kind of payment plan or something, whatever it is. So the check then, assuming that everything comes back okay, the check is submitted to the school for the benefit of the child. The parent signs the back of the check, so that makes that parent go into that school look at an administrator in the face, have an opportunity to speak to that administrator, ask, how is my child doing as they're signing the check, because it's a face-to-face, to restrictively endorse that check over to that school. The school then has to deposit that check into their school account, and we actually audit those checks every month to ensure that it is the parent who is signing it, because we have several different versions of the parent's signature as on the application, on the school commitment form. So we actually look to make sure it is the parent who went into the school and signed that check to ensure that the family is still saying, yes, we have chosen this school is working for our child.
Okay, and I think that's some information that I would appreciate if you could submit some examples of what you were saying. That would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. How about up north? Any questions?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have some questions. Assemblywoman Tolles, for the record, and I wanted to go back to the AAA presentation and the chart of the demographics and grade levels. And as Vice Chair Thompson pointed out, approximately 60% of those scholarships are going to kindergarten through third grade. And I wondered what that was attributed to. Is that simply because there's an interest in the earlier grades to put more of an investment there, or is that because it's relatively a newer scholarship program and you have parents that are more engaged and being targeted for advertising in those grades? I'm just wondering what we think that is, and what I'm getting at is I wonder if those are going to change over time. If we continue this program in the long run, will we see those percentages change from 60% being concentrated in the first K through 3 grades, or will we expect that would balance out across all the grades as more and more families participate in this long term?
The Kim Dyson AAA Scholarship Foundation. What we have found, as I mentioned, we administer these types of scholarships in many different states. What we have found is that it does skew to the younger side. We believe that a lot of that has to do with the value of the scholarship. The value of the scholarship is fairly low when you're looking at what it costs to put a child into a private school. So the younger grades, the elementary schools, tend to be less expensive. So families take advantage of the scholarship for those younger grades. And what we have found is even if as they get closer to the high school level, if the child has been in the program for a number of years, say 3 to 4 seems to be the magic number, they still may return to a public school at grade level. So we found that even a relatively short period of time being in the scholarship program does actually help the children reach the learning grade that they would you would hope that they would have for their grade level, the average test scores. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And I do have one follow-up question, if that's all right with the chair.
Yeah, and did you identify yourself at the beginning?
Yes,
okay.
Assemblywoman Tolles, thank you for the record.
No, not you talking about the one that you're saying.
AAA scholarship, Kim Dyson.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Tolles.
All right, thank you. I do find that 85% retention rate quite stunning, and I'm just wonder if you could speak to what would happen if we don't continue that $20 million cap. What do we project will happen to those families that are currently participating?
Kim Dyson, AAA Scholarship Foundation. One of the ways we've tried to manage the risk that the one-time $20 million bonus may not be made permanent is that we have limited the number of scholarships that we have awarded. So what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to have children put onto the program when we didn't know whether we would be able to fund them in the future. For the funds that we were able to raise from that $20 million, we have encumbered some of those dollars for the renewal students who are on the program to help ensure their continuity of their educational setting. We know it's very important for children, especially in the younger grades, to have that continual environment so that they can be successful. So we would hope and recommend, as has been said multiple times here, that the $20 million would remain permanent, that the 10% escalator would continue. We know that the companies who participate in this program through the MBT tax are big proponents of this program. They understand that the children today who are receiving these benefits will be their future employees, their future customers, the citizens who will pay taxes in the state, and they see a benefit of this program. And we think that that you all will be very happy when you see that those funds are raised very quickly in the future as this program becomes more well known.
Thank you. So just to clarify, you do believe that the companies will continue to fund it if we were to continue it, and that families would continue to apply for those scholarships if we did continue it?
Kim Dyson, AAA Scholarship. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else up north? Any questions? Okay. I don't know this, I don't know that we necessarily have the answer to this now, but with all the data that we're getting, I would be interested in knowing of the 2,000 that received the 2,000 whatever the number was, 2,000 some odd that received it. How many were previously going to a private school and then applied for the scholarship versus how many were in public school and then changed over to the? Do we have any of those kind of numbers?
Melissa Schrader with NDE for the record. Yes, we do. We do collect that data. I don't have it right in front of me at this moment, but I can make sure that it gets to you. But yeah, that is part of our quarterly reporting process for both the schools and scholarship organizations. Report in on whether the student was enrolled in a public school or a private school, if they're a returning private school student or coming in fresh from a public school. So I can get you that data. Great, thank you.
All right, I think we're done. Thank you very much for your presentation and the opportunity to ask some questions. We are now going to take a break. Originally, I was going to give you 30 minutes, but we're running like way behind. So I'd like to go start at 12:30, so you get 15 minutes. So we're going to go. Yeah. So we're on recess for 15 minutes.